G'day folks, in today's video I'm going to show how you can solve this super Z cube simply and with logic. That's right, and the logic and simplicity extends all the way to the single twisted corner at the end. I wasn't going to make a video with this puzzle because frankly it does not turn well. Someone wrote somewhere this is how a mass-produced puzzle should be made, and I kind of thought, well, you must have a different batch because this is not really how it should be made. It's kind of squishy and it's a strange combination of smooth and catchy. And if you've got one, you'll know precisely what I mean, I'm guessing. Now, this puzzle was first shown in 2009, which seems like a lifetime ago, by 𝙏𝙃𝙄𝙎. And it was then redesigned by someone else using magnets, and then limcube had a brand new mechanism and they put this out and called it the Super Z cube. So what is it? It's a Skewb, so it turns on its corner like that, and it's also a 2 by 2 by 2. You can see even here I'm just trying to turn that and it's just sort of doing that. I can turn it that way. So yeah, it's not anything to do with how I'm turning it. It's just, this is the way the puzzle is. So I'm hoping that that won't be too off-putting, but if you've got one of these, as I said, I wasn't going to make a video, but I've come up with a method that I think is really, really simple and I like it. And it doesn't involve anything apart from your ability to, well, think. Also your ability to rotate corners. So either rotating one corner this direction, another corner that direction. Also, you may need to rotate 3 corners at a time in the same direction, so rotating corners. And the other thing is just moving corners around, just permuting, cycling corners. So I will be using the corner piece series for that. You can use whatever you like, but that's it. So the first thing here is to do a bit of a scramble, and for scrambling, what I would generally do is just do a couple of Skewb turns and then start scrambling as a 2 by 2. And then every time I see something like this, I'll take it apart, maybe have a look at something else over here, which may have put back what I just took apart, do a few of them, do some more 2 by 2s. And I'm looking for the state where basically no little triangles are next to their corners. And I'm nearly there. I often find it extremely difficult to get every single one of them like that. As I turn that one there, well, this blue has gone, so let's try doing something. It's not essential, of course, that you have absolutely every piece not next to it, but it's clearly a much better scramble, and I think I have achieved it. Fantastic. So you can keep doing more turns if you like, but that's definitely enough. There's no shape shifting, nothing like that. So when I say simple or simplicity and logic, what I mean is this. I'm going to do the first 3 corners really quickly, and I'm going to specifically choose to do 3 white corners. You could do 3 corners as long as they have a common color. I'm going to start with white. So let's take this corner here. I'm not going to necessarily have to do the white bit first, but I just want to reduce this corner. So the overall approach, it's the same as I'm guessing what everybody else does, is reduce all of these corners and then solve the reduced 2 by 2 puzzle. So this one is a blue base and I need a blue triangle. Well, when we think where this comes from, it's either coming from this face here, or it's coming from this face over here. So all I do is look on either of those faces, find a blue triangle, make sure it's in that position, turn it up, and because it's the first corner, I can just turn the whole puzzle around like that. Now I'm onto white. Well, there's a white, so I will just turn this around until that triangle is in the correct position, turn it up, turn the whole cube around, look for an orange, there's an orange, do the same thing, corner 1 is reduced. Now, because I've only got one corner reduced, I'm going to store it in this lower position right here. So this is sort of how I'm working all the time. I'm turning this and keeping this part stable, and this is exactly where I want to store it. For the second corner, I'm going to do precisely the same thing. This is blue, so I'm going to look for a blue. There is a blue triangle, so I'll put it into that position, turn it up. Now what I was doing before was rotating the cube around. Now you'll notice that that corner that I stored in this position is not in that position. So something slightly different. I just want to rotate this as simply as I can. So I'm just going to turn it to there, turn it up to the top face and put it back into that position. The only thing I've done is this one. That's a red base. I've got a red triangle there. So I'll put it up. I want to get this onto the top. So once again, turn this. I'd apologize if it was my design, but it's not. Turn that to there. Move this up into position and turn it round to there. So now I need a white triangle to go here. Here's a white triangle. Turn it round, put it in, and 2 corners are done. Now, you'll notice, as I said, they've both got white in them. For the third corner, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to store this corner here. Because another thing that you'll notice is not only when I turn this does this stay fixed, this just rotates in place. It doesn't actually move anywhere. So here's another corner. It's got white in it. That's good. Let's see if we've got a white on these faces. Well, the only white I've got is attached to this corner, so that's no good. I do have a white here. So if I could get this corner into that face somehow, I'd be fine. So a little bit more thought, but you just think, well, I want to kind of, maybe move it over to here. This is in the way. I'll keep this stable. So let's turn this off for a start. Maybe I can turn it off to there. It's now on the same layer over here. Now I can turn this one up, bring it back. This is the one I want to store in that position. So before I do that, I'll just turn this around so the triangle is in the correct position. Now I can bring this back to where it was. So just a couple of extra moves, just thinking it through. Turn it up. That part's done. Now, how do I rotate this around as simply as possible? Well, same sort of thing, but you'll notice that when I turn this across to here, that's going to turn there, and I'll just show what I'm saying. If I do that, what I was doing normally was sort of turning it like this. Now it's going to be next to that one. So before I start, I'm just going to put it down to the bottom here yet again. Now, this time I've already got the red triangle in there. I actually want to do this one, so I could do a couple of things. One is I could find another way to rotate it, or I could just do what I've been doing and do it twice and lose a piece. I'll put this back in a tick, but that's the one that's done. Here's the one that I want to get. So let's do that again. And up and around. And I'll only turn it to there because now I want to bring this piece back into that position so that when I finally turn the corner like that, the piece that I'm trying to reduce is there and this other corner is here. Let me fix that. Okay, that's now back in, and it took the better part of a week to put it back in. And you might be wondering, has that happened before? Yes, it has. Let's continue. Just recapping, I've got this corner stored here, I've got this other one stored here, and I'm about to finish this corner. I need a green triangle. None on that face yet, none on that face. What can I do? Well, I notice over here that I've got a corner in the position that I'd like it. And I've also got a corner here, which is in the position that I'd like this to be. Because if you think about it, the green has to be there. So now is the first time I've got to use a rotation. I'm just thinking, well, I'd like to rotate this corner around like that. So the green triangle comes up to that position. I can't just rotate one corner. I've got to rotate a second at least. So I'm going to rotate this one clockwise. The other one that I'm going to use is this one here, the one that's just doing nothing, sitting there minding its own business, because that doesn't matter what happens to that. So this one clockwise, this one anti-clockwise. Now, hopefully everybody knows the general corner rotation here. It's really simple. It's if I want to rotate this around like this, then it's up with this face, up, up, down, down. Do that twice. Up, up, down, down. Of course, nothing's quite as simple on this puzzle. And then, now that that's rotated, put this one into its position and do the opposite. So this time I'd start with this turn as an up. Up, up, down, down, and do it twice. Okay, then I can move that back. Let's come back to That was the base one. Here's the piece I'm trying to reduce. And now that green triangle is in its position. So again, I can just turn that up and my third corner is reduced. Really simple, nothing much to do. Well, now that I've got 3 corners, you might be wondering, why did I insist on getting 3 white corners or 3 corners of the same color? Because this is the part where I think it makes so much sense, is that I'm now going to place those 3 white corners into these 3 positions. Let's see if I can explain. I'll put one there. I'm going to put the other one down here. And let's just see. This just takes a little bit of kind of, okay, how do I move what to get it there? This one here, I could move like that. Now this, because I've got to turn that one back. If I turn that to there, I'm eventually going to have to turn that one back to that position. So now, okay, I'll turn this one off to that face, put it down, undo. Okay, so, right, that one is now in position. That one is in position. You can see they're in the same line. I now need to get this one over to here. Now, all I really kind of need to do is turn it around, but this piece is in the way at the moment. So I will initially get this piece out of the way before I turn it around. What's the easiest way to do that? Probably turn this one up, turn both of them off the face, turn it around to there. Let's put both of them back to the face. And has that done what I wanted? Yes, because I then turn that back there. Now this last one has now come out, so I've just got to put that one back in. Let's turn that to there. I'll turn it around to this layer, so I can put this one back. And now finally, there we have it. So it's just a matter of thinking your way through how to get the 3 corners into that position. Why? Because now, every time I do one of these turns, you'll see that I've retained those 3 corners. Beautiful. Okay, so from here, at the moment, I've got those 3 corners in position. I now want to do the next corner. It doesn't matter what it is. Often I like to do the 4th white corner just because I want to, but it really doesn't matter. So I'm just going to pick the corner that's sitting here. So this requires a green triangle. Again, I'm going to go, where do I get a green triangle from? Well, it needs to be in this position or over in this position. There's nothing over here. There is a green here. So now I've got a choice. The green is already done. So I could either rotate this around to fill this green, or I could look here and say, well, that's a yellow triangle. And this is a yellow base. So I could rotate this one around and fill the yellow. Now, if I did that, it contains an orange. So I'll then look over here and notice that this base is orange. So even though I'm really only trying to get this triangle done next, if I can do something else, I will. Okay, so I've got the yellow here. I want to rotate this around clockwise. I don't want to touch this one, and I don't want to touch this one. So what other corner do I use? I use this one here, which is my base corner that never moves. So it doesn't matter what happens to that. So this one clockwise, this one anti-clockwise. Here we go. Turn it back. If the bearings are lost, you just look at the 3 white corners you had. That's where I was. And it's going to be one of these things here. Let's see what happens. The yellow is going to go to there. The orange is going to go to there. Beautiful. So let's make that turn. That's got that one done. Now I was trying to do this particular corner, but I can always just say, oh, I might do another one. Doesn't matter. This one here, I now want to put either this up here or this up here. So let's see what makes more sense. I've got a red base here. Do I have a red triangle? No. No. Or a green base. I don't even have a green triangle that's free. So what I would probably do is say, I might abandon that one and try doing this one. Or try doing this one. Now notice that at the moment, I'm looking at this triangle, that's my base piece. When I turn the puzzle around to focus on this one, this is still my base piece. So that doesn't change. And I've still got this line keeping these white ones here. Does this make things any better? I've got a blue triangle here, which would lead to there, which is orange. It doesn't, you know what? It doesn't help super, but I'm going to do it anyway, because what I notice is that on this particular corner, I have a red and a green, which look like they need to swap. So it'd be really nice to get one of them out of there anyway. So I'm going to rotate this blue base around clockwise, and I'll just rotate this one anti-clockwise so that this is in the position where it can move out. So this one anti, this one clock, away we go. Now, bearings again, that's where the white's supposed to be. Let's have a look. I've got the blue going to there, yep, the orange to here, and this red will come out. Now what that will do, this red has come out, so it's done what I wanted here. It's left the red out here so that I could then, if I wanted, turn this one around and put that red back in. Let's focus on this one here because I'm pretty close to having this one dealt with. I'd like to spin this around clockwise to put the yellow base. Do I have a yellow piece? I don't, and that's really annoying. So here's another technique that I can use, is to put a yellow piece into its place. So, for example, I'd like to put this yellow triangle over to here so that I can get it matched to this base. So I want to move this corner over to this position. There's two pieces, but for any kind of 3 cycle, I need a third piece. So which piece will I use? Well, I can't use the white pieces. I don't want to touch them. What I can use is this other piece up here. So all I need to think about is how exactly do I want to do this the most efficiently? Now, using the corner piece series, as I said at the start, you can use any method you like for moving corners. With the corner piece series, I could either have this corner roll down like this, and you'll notice the yellow stays on this face, or I could have it roll down like this and it changes its face. Well, this is the face I'd actually like it to be on, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it is, because that's going to come up and attach here. So because of that, I'm going to do this to here. I'm going to roll this down the edge. It means I need a third piece up in this position. So what was my third piece? This one up here. I think, let's double check. No, it wasn't that one, it was this one. So I'm going to keep my finger on this one at the back, and that is the third piece that I want to use. So before I start, I'm going to move it up into this position. So this is my piece movement for the very, very standard corner piece series. That's the one that I really care about, and that yellow triangle will land here. So let's move those pieces. Okay, longest corner piece series in history. Let's now put this back where it was and just get our bearings again. Remember that these are the whites, they're not going to move. That's the yellow. Now that needs to come up to this yellow to complete this corner. So now what I want to do is rotate this one clockwise. If I do, that's got an orange triangle. It would be lovely to place that orange triangle into there. The other possibility that I can look at is what's here. Could I fill this with a green? Well, again, I could, but I don't want to disrupt that green. So what I'm going to do here is rotate this one clockwise. I'm going to rotate this one clockwise, and because I need a third piece, I'm going to use this piece here, which is not in the mix at all. So these 3 pieces now need to be rotated in the same direction. So it's very similar to the previous rotation. Let's do it and we'll see how it's different. So it's still 2 up, up, down, downs for each piece. So that one's done. I'll move the next one into its position and do the same rotation. That one's done, and the third one was this one. So now I turn that into the same position and do the same rotation. And I now want to put these back, so I'll just finish with those two turns. Now, when we did a rotation before, I did one in one direction and the second corner in the other direction, and that put everything on this layer back. Well, if you do 3 corners in the same direction, that also puts everything on this layer back where it was. So we're now all good. That yellow is ready to go here. That orange is going to go here. All the whites are still in place, so I can now turn. You can see I've got another corner ready to attack here because it's got 2 done. Here's the one I was just trying to do. So that's now 4 corners. Where do I put this one? Well, once again, I think I'm going to store it over here because that is a position that is just going to rotate around when I turn this layer. It's not going to do anything else. So once again, I just need to move this one to here. Let's put this one into this position because this is now something that needs to go into the mix. And this one that was here can come down to there. So once again, if I hold it like this and just do one setup, here's my piece movement. This is the one that I really want to move. Let's carry out another corner piece series. Let's try and carry out another corner piece series. Okay, that's the sequence done. I'll just undo that setup. Every time I undo setups, I check that all these pieces are in the correct position because I know then I haven't mucked up. Okay, so that's the 4th corner done. Now this was the other one that looked interesting and that we could get done quite quickly, and I will do that because it's nice to have 5 done because it only leaves 3. This one here, in order to complete this corner, this is going to have to be rotated anti-clockwise, and I'm going to need a white triangle. And I do have a white triangle there. Brilliant. So I'm going to rotate this anti-clockwise. Do I want this to move? Well, that's a red triangle and there is a red base here. So if I was to rotate this one clockwise, I'm going to be able to not only complete this corner, but also get one of these done as well. So that is exactly what I want to do. Anti-clockwise, clockwise, those are my 2 corners. Let's go and rotate. Now let's check that our whites are all aligned. Yes, they are. This is the one I'm trying to deal with. There's my white triangle. That's going to come to here. Let's do it. Okay, you can see that red has also been put in place. That is my 5th triangle. So I've got 1, 2, 3 of these whites. I've got a 4th that I had stored here and a 5th here. Now, 8 corners total, 5 done. That only leaves 3. Quite clearly now, I need to put the remaining 3 into the mix. Well, this one is here. This one is here. Here's the 3rd one. That clearly needs to go to here. And that means I'm going to cycle this to here, this one into that position, and this one over here will come back to the base position here, which does not move. So once again, I'm going to bring this corner up and just permute these 3 pieces as I need them. All done, undo setup, check my whites, they're good. That's one of the corners and that's the other. So that's 5 corners reduced. I have 3 left. 1, 2, 3. Now generally what I will do here is to try and get 2 bits done on each corner so that it just leaves me with a nice 3 cycle at the end. So this corner already has 1 part done. This has 1 part done. This has none. So I'll focus on this one for now. Let's see what can be done. The moment I've got a green base sitting there, and I definitely have a green triangle. If I left the green base and move this around to put the green triangle there, I also have a green base here, which I could rotate to that position. And that would then enable me to not only get, well, let's have a look, the yellow into there, but also the green into there. So that is exactly what I'm going to do. That's in position. That's the one I want to get a piece on. I want to rotate this clockwise and this one anti-clockwise. Okay, let's have a look. Yellow's got to go to there. Green's got to go to there. All looks well. Let's do it. Now, this one's got 2 bits done. This one's got 2 bits done. Oh, did I go the wrong direction there? Because I should have had one of them done. Unless I've moved one of them out. What happens if I go the other direction? Maybe I was supposed to go the other direction. I'm not sure. I think I like this one better. We'll see. I'm going to take this one because at least all of them have 1 bit done now. Let me have a think now. I've got the orange here, which could clearly go to an orange base. I don't have a blue base over here. So then I would be thinking, well, if this is an orange going to that position, it's got a yellow base. Does this have a yellow triangle? Yes, it does. So that is good. I'll put the yellow triangle to there. I'll put the orange triangle to this base. Now that means I've got to rotate this clockwise, but I don't want to rotate any of these others. And so again, I'm going to use this piece here as my second piece. So this one rotating clockwise, except my finger's going anti-clockwise. Let's try again. This one rotating clockwise, this one anti-clockwise. Okay, that should now be done. Let's check the whites. They look good. What was I doing? Orange was going to here, I think, and yellow was going to here. That looks really good. Let's carry that out. So now this one has 2 done. This one has 2 done. This one has 1 done. So I definitely want to focus on perhaps this piece or this piece now. Let's see what we can do. I don't have a green to fill there. I've got a yellow here and a red here. So what that tells me is I'm going to rotate this base to put the red base over here. So I'm going to rotate this anti-clockwise and I'm going to rotate this one clockwise to put the red triangle there. Now, do I need to rotate the other one? I possibly will. Let's take care of these 2 first, just to get the pieces where I need them. Okay. Red is going to come here. Green is going to come down to here. Okay, now this is a pretty standard situation. I don't really want to knock out this yellow. And so I say, well, I better rotate this one around to put a different base in here. That's got a yellow triangle in there, which is going to go on and complete this piece. Well, that's actually fine. It's not the end of the world at all if I do that. So I'm definitely going to do that rather than knock out something I've already got. So because of that, that one's fine. I'm going to rotate this one clockwise, but I don't want to touch this one. So again, I'll use this base piece here to rotate anti-clockwise. Put it back, let's see what's what. Yeah, that's now where I want it. That red is going to go there. Looking good. Let's do the rotation or the turn. What do we got? 1 left here. That one's done. This one's done. Now, you'll notice if you do get down to this, you're either going to have a 3 cycle of pieces, which is very, very obvious what to do. You'll just rotate them in position and then turn the slice or turn the Skewb turn. Or you're going to have this situation where you've got, say, blue-green and green-blue. You're going to have what looks like a swap. Well, clearly, the first thing is I've got to rotate this to here. But the other thing is on my 3rd corner, I need to involve one of the same colors. So if I'm dealing with green and blue, then my 3rd corner, I'm looking at it going, oh, it's got a blue. Now, if it happened, and I don't know if this is even possible to happen, but if it did happen that this corner did not have a green or a blue, you would simply go and look at either this corner or this one here and move it into position and use that. So at the moment, let's see what we've got. We've got the green-blue here that needs to be rotated clockwise. That will also need to be rotated clockwise, and that is in position. So I've got these 2 that both need to be rotated clockwise. This is a piece that isn't involved. I'll rotate this one clockwise as well. Now, if I look at what's happening, there's my green-blue, there's my blue-green, and this is the green. So now I just turn it so that they're all solved. So let's say that I turned it this way. Oh, that's solved. Oh, that's not. Oh, that's not. Well, then I would turn it the other way. and they'll definitely all be reduced. So that is as hard as you'll get for the final three corners, but you can see they're all reduced, no new algorithms to learn. That completes that reduction stage of the solve. What I want to do now is solve this as a 2x2 cube. So for me, solving as a 2x2, I'm going to do the white first. I'm going to get the whole white layer, and then I'm going to check whether the yellow layer is correctly positioned or not. So first of all, what have I got? I might put those two whites together. Got that third one in there, and the fourth one like so. That's all done. Now I want to look at any yellow corner and just make sure it's in its position. So this one here, yellow, orange, blue, that is in its correct position. I now want to look at the remaining three corners and see how many swaps I've got to make to get them solved. So at the moment, I've got yellow, green, red has to go to here. So yellow, green, red would swap with yellow, blue, red. That's one swap. And then the yellow, blue, red would swap with yellow, green, orange. That's two swaps. That's an even number of swaps. And of course, what we're talking about here is a this to here, this to here, this to here. That is a 3 cycle. So this is now the correct positioning of this yellow face. Now, let's say, for example, that instead of that, I had looked at this one, yellow, blue, red. I said, this is the corner I'm going to look at. What's going on with the other pieces? Well, I'll notice that this one is in its correct position. Unfortunately, I've got the blue, orange and the green, orange. I've got one swap needing to happen there. That's an odd number of swaps. That's no good. And so I would then say, oh, well, I better make a single turn to create the correct configuration. So now that that's done, I can go ahead and solve. What I would do to solve, I've got, which one did I have in position? I can't remember. This one here, I think. So I will 3 cycle these remaining 3 pieces. And at this stage, I'm not that worried about orientation. I just want to get them into position. So this one to here, this one to here, and this one over to here. So this is the corner piece series. It's just the mirror of it. There we go. Okay, so now that the pieces are in position, I can check the orientation, and I can clearly see here that that one has got to be rotated anti-clockwise, that one clockwise. That is a normal situation, and I could go ahead and solve that, and the puzzle would be solved. What I was hoping for, of course, was the single twisted corner. Unfortunately, that means I've now got to set up for it. And here we are with that single twisted corner, very possible and very common. And there's no real way that you can predict it from the start. In fact, you can't really do anything about it. And the only way that you'll even know if it happens is when it happens at the end. Now, what's causing it, as far as I can work out, is if you think about any Skewb turn, if I do that turn, it's cycling a bunch of pieces around, but it's rotating this one piece in position wherever I do that. Now, I can't say that it's an odd number of turns that are doing it, because that's 1 turn, that's 2, that's 3, and we're all back to where we started. So what it really is that the entire number of Skewb turns that I do end up resulting in one being twisted. And as I say, really it's only at the end of the reduction when that's going to happen or not happen. So here is how I fix it, and it's using the exact same techniques that we've been using so far. The first thing is, even if you notice that, let's say you've done the whites and you can clearly see, not all of these are rotated, but you can see, hey, there is definitely a problem here. Still, solve the rest of the puzzle to leave just that one corner twisted. That's my first thing. There's a reason for that, because it's going to make this so much easier to deal with. Now, what we want to do to fix this twisted corner is to twist it back into its correct orientation. That is now in its correct orientation. This, of course, is the yellow face. So we're all good. We've fixed the problem. What we now need to do is move the remaining pieces back to where they belong. So if we think about these pieces, there are 3 pieces that share the colours of the twisted corner. Yellow, blue, orange. Yellow, blue, blue, orange, orange, yellow. As opposed to red, green, white, red, green, white. So when you look at that, you go, okay, so it's very clear to see whatever this corner is, we're going to create 3 pieces which share those same colours. They are the 3 pieces we are going to fix first. So to fix that, what I really want to do is to be turning this back like that. But clearly just doing that achieves nothing. So before I do it, I want to grab this corner and I want to replace one of these other pieces with that corner. So once again, this one down here, it's not in the mix at all. It's not part of anything. So I can use this to do a replacement. So I want to grab this yellow, blue, orange, put it into this position here, just to replace one of these other corners with that one. So in order to do that, I'll do what I did earlier and just move this up into this position and carry out a corner piece series to move this one over to here. Okay, let's undo the setup. We're back to where we started. So what's changed? Really only these 3 pieces. You can see that one is just now being stored down there for future use. This is the corner that I had originally had a problem with, and I've now put this one over here. Now that you've done that, you go ahead and fix these 3 pieces. The 3 pieces that shared the colour of the problem corner. Here we go. Done. So those 3 pieces are now fixed. Now what I'm going to have to do, if you're keeping your wits about you, you'll realise that at this point, I've kind of gone back to the twisted corner state. So what I need to do is when I'm fixing the remaining 3 pieces to turn back that way. So now you got to think, well, what's going on here? If we look at what's happened, I've got 2 pieces here, yellow, white, red, yellow. The 3rd piece is solved. So I've got a yellow, white and a red, yellow. Do you know what would be really handy is if I had a white, red. Oh, look, a white, red. And that is always going to happen if you solve the rest of the cube first and do what I've said, which is to move the problem corner into this position, fix the first 3. That will leave you with exactly the right corner you need. So clearly now I've got to get this corner into that position before I start. So this corner has got to go here. Obviously it's going to replace this one. And this is another corner I can use that's not being affected at the moment. So now I would think, okay, well, I've got to get that to there. So let's do one setup like this and do a corner piece series. Okay, let's undo that setup. Let's see what's what. I now do have that corner into the position where I need it. And here are the other ones. In order to say, which direction do I turn? You just think, well, that's a yellow base. It's got to turn up to that yellow triangle. This is a red base. It's got to turn up to a red triangle here. So I need to rotate this one around clockwise. So I'm going to rotate that clockwise. And what will I use? Well, I'll use this one down here, which is not being used at the moment. And I'll rotate this one anti-clockwise. Okay, that is all done. And that white red is now on exactly the line that I need it to be. So I'm ready to kind of look what happens when I do this. These other 3 corners fix. But you can see by doing that I'm not quite ready to do it yet, because I just need to make sure that these 3 corners in this position share a common color. So I would look at it and say, well, what have I got? White, orange, green, white, blue, red, red, yellow, green. I seem to have there's no common color for all of them that I can see. I do have whites which are shared here. I've got reds which are shared here, and I've got greens which are shared. So I just need to make a choice here. And unfortunately, you'll notice those three colors that I said, white, red, green, not a single one of them is sitting on this line that I need to be sitting, which is kind of unfortunate, but there you go. So I'm just going to choose white. I'm going to say, well, I'm going to have a white going here and this one will go here. So let's say, first of all, that's got to rotate anti-clockwise. That's got to rotate clockwise. That'll get those two in position and ready to be used. Okay, so I've now got that white one ready, that white one ready. Clearly here I need to put a corner which has white on it. Well, this corner here is perfectly reasonable. If I'm thinking about it, I'd also like to get it so that the white goes to there when I move it, like that. Okay, so I've got to move this to here, and this one can be my third corner. So let's think how I might set up for that. This one, I want the white to come here. This is the third piece. Let's do the same as I've done many times. Turn this up to there, carry out that corner piece series. Done, undo setups. Now, what we should see is that we are back to three corners which share a color, and the other three are now ready to turn. So we make that turn, and you'll see that we have now reduced those corners, I might add with a minimum of fuss. It's now time to re-solve the cube, knowing that it will absolutely solve correctly. So it's white, red. What can we do here? Did that work? Yes, it did. That one. Get the fourth white into the white layer. Okay, let's check the yellow again. Well, first thing is when I turn that around, you can see those two are solved. How many swaps do I have? None. They are in position. So that's really good. If they weren't, we would just take care of it as we did previously, before we had the single twisted corner. And you'll also note here that now we have this one needing to twist in one direction, this one needing to twist in the other. We have absolutely fixed that single twisted corner. So the final thing to do here, rotate this one around, rotate this one around. And you can see that all has been taken care of. So that is how you can fix that single twisted corner. And that is how you can solve this Super Z, this 2x2 plus a Skewb. As I said at the start, the turning's not great, but it's good enough, and it's good enough that I thought, yep, I do want to make a video on this and get it out there. So I hope that helped. And as always, thanks for watching.